One thing that we as humans do a lot is that we make assumptions. And I'm sure most of us could agree that most of the time we're wrong. We're way off. So today I want to share with you 7 fragrances that I made assumptions about. These are fragrances that, to put it simply, I absolutely love now, but coming into them, maybe I had some skepticism, or it just didn't resonate with me at first, but now it's fantastic. So let's dive right into these 7 assumption-breaking fragrances. This first one is a new release, kind of, from the house of Orman Tangier. This is called Tanger. And I say kind of because technically I do believe this fragrance came out some years ago, but they have recently relaunched it in this new presentation with this new design and marketing and whatnot. They reached out and they said they wanted to send this to me. I was honestly skeptical because I was assuming it was going to be a little bit too floral, maybe a little bit too feminine. But it came in the mail. I gave it a spray and I was immediately surprised. I loved it. I had to put it on skin right away. And I was so surprised to find my wife loved it on me. She smelled it on my skin. She's like, oh yeah, that smells beautiful and quite masculine on you. And I was surprised because ultimately this is a little bit of an orange scent as per the name and the look. There's an orangey, citrusy feel, but there is a little bit of a softness to it from what I do believe are some white florals, maybe neroli, and maybe a little bit of this warm, ambery kind of vanilla base. But it doesn't dry too sweet or powdery or anything like that. It actually does have a little bit of a sharpness to it that keeps it perfectly unisex, if not making it a little bit more masculine leaning. And I've seen some other reviews that say the same thing. Beautiful wearing experience, especially in the heat. This stuff comes to life. It smells just really uplifting. It smells pretty easygoing, but there's something special about it. So you could class it up a little bit if you want to. So this surprised me. I like it way more than I thought I would. That is Orman Tangier. Up next is a brand new fragrance to my collection. This might be the newest one that I have. This was sent to me by my friends at Quintessence. This is a new release. They figured I would love it. They sent it over without giving me a chance to really learn about it. In fact, they didn't even tell me what it was. They just said, we're sending you something. So this arrived and I was skeptical because I've heard some things about this house. Not necessarily bad things, but possible deterrents for my taste. This is from Dusita, my first and only fragrance I've ever smelled from the house, and it's called Pelagos. And it's their newest offering from what I understand. And I've heard that these fragrances tend to lean pretty feminine, maybe very floral, maybe heavy on oud. So I was a little hesitant, but I was wrong. When I first sprayed this, and I actually did share my first impressions in a short, this blew me away. This is an iris-based fragrance, but it's the earthy, rooty, kind of starchy type of orris root with a little bit of a smooth, buttery quality. It's kind of green and mossy. It's earthy and damp, and as it dries, it gets quite woody. There's a lot going on. It's a very busy note breakdown, but it comes off as this very elegant and somewhat unique take on iris that I find perfectly unisex, maybe masculine leaning. I can't wait to give this some more wear, but it's pretty dense, so I'm not really wearing it out in the heat right now. I'm gonna wait till it starts to cool down or wait for a milder day or evening to give it a true wear. So the jury's still out, but in the wearings I've had on my hand, good stuff, worth a sample. That is Dusita Pelagos. Let me know if you've tried it. And if you haven't, there's gonna be links down below. Up next is kind of a special case. I'll tell you what it is and you won't be very enthusiastic about it, and I'll understand why. This is Creed Aventus. I can see the confusion on your face. You might be wondering, how is this something that's way better than you expected? Well, this is a new bottle. This is an F batch bottle, which I got recently in the past month or two. I didn't expect much out of it because of what I've heard about current batches of Aventus. So I wasn't expecting to be blown away by it. I do have a 2020 bottle that is fine to me. It doesn't make me feel amazing like my original 2016 bottle did, but it's okay. But this one, I really like it, and I like it so much more than I thought I would, and it's reminding me of some of the magic I remember experiencing wearing the crap out of my original bottle of Aventus. The pineapple is here. It's juicy, it's fruity, it's fresh, it's a little bit sharp. There's that beautiful dry mossy woodiness in the background, a little bit smoky but not too much. It is Aventus as I remember it for the most part. It performs pretty well. I wouldn't say it's beast mode, but this is pretty much all day wear for me. I will be getting some subtle wafts all day long. So I don't need to talk about it much more than that. You know what this smells like. You've probably tried it already, but I will say that the newer batches of Aventus might be worth looking into. Definitely exceeded my expectations. That's Creed Aventus, the F batch. We'll see what happens next with the G batch, H batch, Anyway, this next fragrance I came into honestly with no real expectations other than the hope that I would enjoy it. I gave it a spray, did it on camera, it was a first impressions video, and I was a little bit underwhelmed. And not because it didn't smell great, but because it reminded me of something else. I was hoping it wouldn't, and I was assuming it wouldn't, but it kind of did, at least at first. So hear me out. From Mind Games, this is Gambit. I've talked about this a lot over the past several months, and based on my tracking of my wearings, this will definitely end up being one of my most worn fragrances for this year, 2024. So I look forward to seeing the final numbers. But this fragrance, when I first sprayed it and smelled it, it reminded me of something in the realm of Dior Sauvage Elixir. It was kind of peripheral to that, but the more time I've spent with it, it has set itself apart more and more and more. It is in this kind of dark, fresh, spicy, almost clean shower gel realm, but there's a little bit more nuance here, a little bit more going on under the hood. You have patchouli and petitgrain that are some of the main ingredients here, giving it a dampness, this earthy quality that I don't really get out of Sauvage Elixir, and the petitgrain brings this kind of dry, branchy, woody feel to the scent. And beyond that, it is fresh and spicy. It is kind of clean smelling, but it's dark, a little bit sweet in a way, very, very slightly. It just has a sexy feel to it. It's one I love wearing on nights out pretty much any time of the year, hot or cold. This is great for night out wear when you want to smell attractive. Now it's very, very, very expensive. Please do not blind buy this bottle. Even the discovery sets are not cheap, but if any of what I've said sounds interesting to you, then Mind Games might be a house worth considering. Just in case, I will link them down below if you want to check out the house. If you have tried Gambit, let me and everyone else know what you think. This fragrance was a gift from a friend. It was a total blind gift. I didn't know what it was when it was coming. I got it in, I looked at it, I'm like, I've never seen this before. I've never heard of this brand. I gave it a spray and I really, really liked it. And then I read reviews and I saw people saying,
it's so light, it doesn't last, it's trash, it's basically water.
I was reminded of how the obsession with performance has ruined, honestly, a lot of people's experience with fragrance. It's really sad, but topic for another time. Anyway, I'm talking about Brunello Cucinelli. This is their Pour Homme. And yes, this is a subtle, light scent profile that is undeniably masculine. It's a little bit green. It's kind of fresh and musky and woody, maybe a little bit of juniper. There's something about it. There's something in the through line of the heart of this scent that in the air, it is just enchanting. There's something about it that is undeniably masculine once again, but subtle, doesn't scream. I don't think a real confident man should have to scream with his fragrance presence. This fragrance doesn't do that. Now, I find that it lasts on my skin most of the day, and there do seem to be some ingredients here that might make me or you go nose blind, so you may not detect it all day long, but I love the vibe. The vibe that this gives off when I wear it, it makes me feel like myself. And for that reason, I love this fragrance, and it highly exceeded anything I could have expected, so I can easily call it one of my favorites now. I'd say maybe worth a sample. It's not cheap. I'll link to what I can find down below. That is Brunello Cinelli Pour Homme. I've been very clear about my thoughts over time with this fragrance from the House of Creed. This is Royal Oud. This is currently my favorite from the house. I love what Royal Oud does with woods, making them classy, masculine, making them interesting and unique. I believe it's Julien Rascanet, who's the perfumer here. He did fantastic work. When I first tried this fragrance, as I've said in past videos, it smelled like smelling a Christmas tree. Smelled like putting my face into a pine tree and inhaling deeply. Yes, not a very pleasant experience. That was just with a decant. I ended up finishing that 10 milliliter decant over the course of a few years, and by the time I finished it, I was itching for a bottle of this stuff. It just evolved for me and my taste. Now I love it. I feel like I had to grow into this one. Again, dry woods, a little peppery. There's definitely some pink pepper in here, I believe. There's some green, kind of dusty elements, maybe some galbanum, angelica. I couldn't tell you what all those things smell like, but a little bit of a green dustiness to a very, very dry woodiness. But overall, there is a little bit of transparency here. It's a little bit light, but very present. I get 5 or 6 hours out of this, and that is all I need it for the occasions I wear. This is slightly more dressed up evening wear in the fall, winter, and spring. So I can easily say I had to grow into this one. It's now way better than I could have ever thought it would be. That is Creed Royal Oud. Let me know if you dig this one. I'm going to link down to a sample below. And the final fragrance here is from the house of Goldfield and Banks. You're not going to see any hype about this fragrance. It is a relatively new release, and I honestly didn't know it existed until it arrived. Once again, similar situation. It was sent to me. I didn't know what it was really until I smelled it, saw the bottle, and then realized, oh, this is fantastic. This is called Silky Woods Elixir. I did not think that this was going to have an effect on me like it has on me. This is perfectly named. It is Silky Woods. There is a smooth, dry woodiness to it. It's very, very smooth. And on top of that is this kind of ambery, slightly powdery, airy sweetness. I think there's oud in here. I think oud is the primary woody ingredient. There's something about this that it just behaves in the air in a way I cannot get enough of. It moves slowly and raptures the senses in a way that is not overt, that is not overwhelming. It doesn't scream, but it is not shy. This stuff lasts on my skin a good little while. I'm smelling it the whole time. Mostly fall, winter wear, I would say. Again, maybe spring. It does have a vibe to it that screams a little bit more nighttime for sure. There's a seductive element to this one. This was perfumed by Olivier Cresp, and if I'm not mistaken, the Brunello was also perfumed by Olivier Cresp. Let me know if you've tried this one. Did not expect to love this fragrance. There's a couple of fragrances from this house that I really like, but the wearing experience of this one superseded any of the others that I've tried, at least so far. So we'll see what the future holds. But that is Silky Woods Elixir from Goldfield and Banks. All right, that's my experience with these 7 fragrances. They've blown me away more than I ever could have anticipated, and I want to know what you think of them if you've tried them. If you haven't, links down below in the description. Check them out. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.